jumped to fame in The Crow.
Leaped.
Leaped.
Yeah, like halted, leaped, jumped, like, yeah, like catapulted or something. Yeah, something like that.
How old were you when you filmed that?
I was 12 and I turned 13 on set.
On set?
On set, yeah. Had my birthday in the production, well, in the cafeteria with the production crew.
That is awesome. Now, I know we talked a little bit before. The cast for The Crow that you got to work with was it's an amazing group.
Phenomenal. Yeah, phenomenal actors. Like, I got a chance in a lifetime because I got to work with David Patrick Kelly, who was schooled in Shakespearean type of stage work and was just an incredible actor, an amazing person. Michael Massey, who had done tons of films before and was also amazing person, amazing actor, who passed away last year, and bless his heart and God rest his soul. I got to work with Brandon, of course, everybody knows, who was just the most fabulous person I think I've ever met in my life, and an incredible actor, put everything, all of his heart and soul he put into that part, so it was really incredible to watch him work. I got to work with Ernie Hudson, who was just fantastic and just hilarious.
Ghostbuster.
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, who doesn't want to work with a Ghostbuster, you know? You're like, who are you going to call? Ernie Hudson. I got to work with Tony Todd, which scared the crap out of me when I met him because he was Candyman, but after, you know, talking to him for a few minutes, I realized he was just my big, gentle giant that I loved, and he was awesome. I worked with Michael Berryman, who was amazing, smart, just incredible person to talk to. I couldn't go on enough about the people I worked with. John Polito, awesome guy, yes. Really funny. Just a phenomenal group of actors. Just I was just so lucky. Like, I was just kind of thrown in this mix of people. Like, here's all these incredible people. Now you be that.
Well, it's a great learning curve because you're now bouncing yourself off of some of the most talented people there.
Yeah, well, it really changes things because when you work with an actor that does not know how to act, for instance, it really messes you up, and you can't come back with, you know, a really firm sense of what you're doing if they're not coming at you with a firm sense of what they're doing. So it's exactly the opposite when you're working with somebody that's amazing. It's like it improves your skill because they're so good at how they deliver their lines that it makes you deliver your lines twice as good as you normally would, because it's just so, you know, it's like you feed off of it, you know, essentially.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I know since then, you haven't done much acting since then. You've been in a couple
No,
things.
I steered clear after The Crow. Like, I went the actual opposite direction. I was like, oh, there's Hollywood. I'm going to go that way then, you know. I wanted nothing to do with anything that had to do with acting after The Crow, and I've just recently, in the last, say, 10 years, gotten into doing conventions and accepting offers if people have asked me to do little parts and here and there, and I'm still all open to it, but I don't pursue it hardcore, you know, out there auditioning, putting my heart into it, because it's not something I want to become a big, huge, famous star doing this, you know, but it's still my passion. I still love it. So it's kind of like an addiction. I can't get away from it, but I don't want it to run my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Now, we also talked, on IMDb you have 2 listings, but one of them, you said you...
Never even filmed, yeah. Grotesque, I didn't even read the script, to be honest. I never even had zero to do with that movie. Like, they asked me to do it, I did a photo shoot for it, and then I never heard another word about it after that. Now, I did have a really funny thing online where they said I died in the making of it.
Really?
So, yeah, if you look on, I think it's on IMDb, they said, Rochelle Davis died during the making of Grotesque. I said, that's funny, I wasn't even on the set. Like, how did I die? But, yeah, I never filmed that movie. Hell House I did film, but it never actually came out on even DVD. They didn't, finish it.
Okay.
So Alice was the only thing that I had filmed and is actually going to come out and be finished. And then there was another one I did recently called Echo Lake Massacre. I did a little bit part for that just to help them out. And that's going to come out as well. So And then there's something I'm filming next month and something I'm filming in June. So I'm starting to pick up a little bit and do some more stuff.
Okay, yeah.
People have been demanding of me, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll come work.
Well, I don't know. I know me personally, and I think these people can agree, Sarah is a pop culture icon.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize that. 10 years ago when I first did my first con, it was when I first realized, like, oh wow, this really affected people, and I kind of made an impact and a change for people that I didn't really know I did until way after it happened. And now that I'm realizing it, it's kind of life altering. It's like, wow, I did that, huh? Like, okay. So I've accepted that now, and I've embraced it a little bit more.
Now this is just a personal question. The skateboarding in that film.
I was not the person that did that stuff.
You were not?
No, absolutely not. And James O'Barr will call me out on this every time. He is the worst person when it comes to doing Q&As with me, because as soon as the skateboard question comes up, he like has his mic in his hand, in his face. He's like, she was the worst skateboarder on the planet. I'm like, oh, thanks, James. Thanks a lot for just like throwing me to the wolves. But no, he's right. Like I sprained my ankle once doing it because I was so bad at it. Well, they trained me on floor like this, where it was really, really super smooth. And then they stuck me out on like, this horrible, rickety, ground that had like potholes and cracks and all this stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't skateboard on this now. And, but they had hired a stunt double to do all the cool tricks, and it was a boy, so he was wearing my fishnet stockings and a, lingerie skirt, and I was making fun of him the whole time, but he did a good job. He did all those cool flippy things and made me look super awesome, and so now people are like, she's cool, she skateboards, and I'm like, rock on, that's whatever, sure, I did.
Hollywood magic. That's what that
We'll pretend.
Yes.
I did flip the skateboard up a lot. I know how to do that, like, super cool. So it looks cool when I do that.
Yeah, I think I remember that there was a scene in there where you did that.
It
was one shot.
And you can see my face. Yeah,
yes.
I mastered that move like nobody's business.
Yes. So now, because you're just starting to get back into the filming and all that, there's been large gaps. What has been occupying your time? Like, what is your interest that you've been doing?
I have a lot of interests, but my biggest interest is my son. He's 13 years old, so for the last 13 years I've spent, pretty devoted to my child and his life. I do a podcast online. That's one thing that I keep my time doing, researching for it and doing the podcast. Right now I'm also working on a book about my life to kind of expose fans to where I was for all that time that I was gone, and from what I was doing during the Crow, so that people can hear all the stories that a lot of people are interested in hearing. So I work with a ghostwriter right now that's writing my book, and she interviews me and people that are in my life and kind of gathers information, and we're collaborating to make that book. I do a lot of art, I just kind of get my hands into everything. I've done photography, I did massage therapy for a long time, a lot of meditation and holistic stuff, so I do Reiki.
You were just hitting everything.
I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I like to do a lot of stuff. It's like once I get into something, I'm like, okay, what else can I get into? Okay, what else can I get into? So, yeah, I like that.
Okay, and so now you said you're doing your video podcast.
Yep.
What are the topics on that?
We do all types of topics. Like, we try to pick a different theme for every show. Like, one time we did it about love, and we just talked about all different types of things like that. We've done topics about psychology. We've done, we just try to pick like different, movies and shows, or things like that, or comedians, or, anything we can think that people just want to jibber jabber about and hear about. And we just sit around and we talk, and me and my boyfriend, we can talk for ridiculous amounts of time. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that people wouldn't watch our podcast for more than 2 hours, we'd probably sit on there for 12 hours straight and talk. But we do about 2-hour podcasts, and we just sit on there and we chitty chat, and there's a lot of banter and silliness that goes on because that's how we are with each other. So I think people get a kick out of that. And, it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So now you said you have a couple things coming up. Anything you can talk about, or is it still in that preparing stage, like pre-production?
They're both in pre-production, so I'm not really at liberty to discuss them yet. But Alice is something that I'm still working on, like pretty, hardcore. They're working on getting funding. They're working on possibly getting a series with Netflix. So that's something that the director's been working pretty hard at getting, started and getting moving with it. It's a really good film or series, if that's what it becomes. But he's got a real knack for what he does. He's got a real eye for film, and he's really good to work with. Like, I really liked working with him, so it was a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to working with him more, and I'm really hoping he gets the funding he needs to get the series going, because if it does, I would love to work with him again and work with him more extensively, because he was a really fun director to work with.
Okay, so what is Alice?
It's basically it's like a psychological thriller. It's about a girl that has a twin that passes away when he's younger, and then it's kind of like I don't want to give too much away about it, but it's like a haunting of her past, and then it kind of like she's part of the intricate plot that she's like the scary person eventually, but you don't know that right away. And
okay,
it's just and then there's like a police officer that's kind of unraveling the plot as it goes, and there's this little creepy boy that's like her twin coming back, and my son was actually in it. He was part of the filming. He came up to do an extra role and ended up being the creepy little boy in it. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a trailer for it online that they've been promoting to get funding for it. That's just really very intriguing. So I've watched it a couple times, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, ooh, I just want to get back to filming this. It's gonna be so fun. So I play a roller derby coach, and that's Alice is in the roller derby, and I play her coach, and I'm also a bartender at the place where all the roller derby girls hang out. So it's kind of like a cool little motherly figure role in the thing. But I'm always shouting at the girls, screaming at them on the roller derby thing, about what they need to be doing. So
I remember seeing that picture of you at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that's what.
Yeah, so it's like I'm at the bar, I'm talking to the girls, I'm giving them their shirts for the roller derby, and then the next scenes are me just like kind of yelling at the girls and what they're doing wrong on the roller derby floor, and that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun to film.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So now, I don't see a lot of questions, so I'm going to ask you. Like I said, the one thing everyone knows you for is Sarah and filming The Crow. What are some of the cool stories you have for being on that set? Because like you said, the cast was amazing.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the backstage stuff was...
We had a lot of fun. Yeah, we did. We had a lot of fun. One of the best stories I remember from The Crow that I tell people often is there was a night that was just bitterly cold. It was always like between 35 and 45 degrees out at night. And it was pouring rain because they had to keep it raining. And it would get so bitterly cold that they would put antifreeze in the water just to keep the water from freezing. So we had antifreeze water just pouring on us, for hours and hours and hours while we're filming. And it would just get so bitter that we would just sit in front of this, heater, this fire heater. And we'd just stand there and rub our hands together and just kind of shake, and we'd have our coats on, and just, me and Brandon were standing there talking one night, and he says to me, he goes, Rochelle, I think we need to start demanding hot rain. And I looked at him and I go, I think you're right. I think we do. I think we need to start demanding hot rain. And so Brandon, being the comedian that he always was, turns to the director and he goes, Alex, we demand hot rain. And Alex looks at Brandon and goes, oh yeah? Are you Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts over there? And he goes, no. And he goes, then no hot rain. All right. And we just go back to rubbing our hands. So that was the kind of stuff that we did on set. We just were goofy and having fun and being silly, and we were always making jokes and laughing and trying to keep things upbeat, because when we were filming, it was very dark and slow and dramatic, and had a very specific feel to it. So in order to keep us, lighthearted about it. We just goofed off a lot and had a lot of fun together. So
It is a dark movie.
yes.
But as we talked with one of the people over there, it's also a love story.
Yes, yes, very much so. And there's a lot of comedy in it. I mean, I laugh still out loud every single time he smacks Gideon in the head and says, "Mr. Gideon, you're not paying attention." You know, it's like, I laugh out loud every single time that comes on. And it's like, I tell people when they're like, "Oh, is this a scary movie?" Because some people have never seen it. And they're like, "Oh, is this a scary movie?" And I'm like, no, not at all. There's nothing scary about it. It's dark. It's violent. But it's not scary. There's a lot of comedy in it. There's a lot of romance, and there's a lot of like that loyalty, that feeling of like loyalty and strength and such, but it's not scary. So, there's a lot of different, I think it hits a lot of different places for people.
Absolutely. My personal favorite scene, I think, is the one when we talked, it's the very first one you shot, where you're at the bar and there's Darla and Fun Boy.
It's the first scene I ever shot.
Yes, I don't
That
have
was
any
actually
dolls.
the very, very first scene I ever shot, and Michael Massey had to give me a pep talk right before because I kind of was a little overwhelmed at the whole set and how everybody was standing around the set just staring at us. And he took me aside and he said, "Listen, you've done stage work, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "These are all people sitting in front of you on a stage. Just think of it that way. This is just the same thing as doing stage work, but every time they say action, you're up on a stage doing your performance for the night, and you have to get it right every time, And I'm like, okay. And he's like, just all the way through until they say cut. Even if you mess up, just keep going, He was a really good help to me that night, and then we started that scene, and it ended up coming out great. It just flowed and went right with the feeling of it. So,
like I said,
I'm glad you liked that.
That's one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie.
It was a good one.
I have any dolls?
I don't have any dolls.
Awesome. Well, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? Fire away. The Alice Show, it's not on?
It's not on yet. They're working on getting funding to put it on Netflix. So hopefully it will be on soon, I'm hoping. Because if they get the funding, it should be, something they can get out there. They have a business plan for it. It's just they're working on getting funding. So.
And they do have a trailer out.
Yes, they absolutely have. They have a lot filmed for it. They just need to get some backing to get it put out there and get people to be able to see it because it's really excellent.
It sounds very intriguing.
Yeah, it's very intriguing, and I really didn't know what it was going to look like until I saw the trailer. I just knew the guy was great to work for, and the actors were really good and all that kind of stuff. But you really don't know what your product's going to look like until you see it. And he sent me the trailer, and I got goosebumps. I was like, this is incredibly good. Like, this is for an independent film. This is really awesome. And I was really impressed. So it's one of those things that I feel very passionate about, and I'm really pushing for with him because I really believe in him, and I believe in what he's doing. So
that's excellent. Okay. Any other questions?
So hopefully soon.
Yes, very soon. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. Well, Rochelle, thank you so much for chatting with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, sitting with me is Olivia Hack. Started out as an actress. I'm assuming you still do a little bit of acting, but you're more a voice actor now.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I do mostly voice acting, and it's awesome because I don't have to memorize any lines. So.
That's true. You get to sit there and read them.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That is awesome.
Every once in a while, I'll go out for something that's on camera, and it's like, oh God, because it's a muscle that you have and you strengthen, over time, the memorization, and it does just kind of go. And you're like, oh.
If you don't use it.
If you don't use it,
yes.
It's gone.
Now, one of the ones I did not mention, which is actually pretty big, you are one of the voices in Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Yes, yeah, which is a super popular show at cons because it kind of falls into that anime category a little bit for people, and that has a huge fan base, and that's cool to come to cons sometimes and see people dressed up as your character, and that's the thing most people cosplay that I've done. It's awesome. I mean, and I think people are able to find a lot of kind of deeper meaning in that show, and yeah, it's just really, the arc of all those characters and all their stories is pretty powerful. It's pretty cool.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to jump way back because you were Cindy Brady.
I was.
You were Picard's daughter, and
Yes.
that's very young.
Very young, yeah. So I started at about 4 years old doing commercials. And a little TV here and there, but mostly commercials. And then I did Star Trek Generations, which was awesome and super cool. And actually more work than what you saw on screen because they ended up kind of scrapping that whole sequence and then refilming it later, a few months down the road, and added some characters and all sorts of stuff. So that was really fun. It was really cool, and all of our costumes were handmade and all that stuff. And to work with Patrick Stewart, who's a lovely, lovely man. And then from there, did the Brady Bunch, and I think it was 11 when I did the first one, 12 when I did the second one. And that was just an incredible, something like that when you do, as an actor, if you're fortunate enough to get something like that, it's a ride, So you're just kind of on that ride and riding that wave for a couple of years. We did a European tour, and then we did the second movie, and it's just, that's definitely been the biggest gift of my career for sure, because it just it keeps on giving.
Well, like you said, when you get part of a culture base almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we've had Eugene Clark here, who was in Land of the Dead, and people love him for that.
Nice.
And last year we had Kevin Duhaney and Jeff Perazzo, who are Power Rangers, the Dino Thunder.
Huge.
So they're part of this culture.
Yeah.
You are actually fortunate because you have your toe in a bunch of different cultures.
It's just a toe. It's just a small little toe. It's not a whole foot. But yeah, it's enough to be, it's cool to be able, like when I was doing Clone Wars, you can always kind of say, like, I played a Jedi, and that's cool. Not everybody gets to say that. And everybody who works on that show is really into Star Wars and the whole culture of it and everything. So you really feel amped up by everyone surrounding you because everybody kind of feels the weight and the gravitas of.
They're all there for that same reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're in the Star Wars universe, you're in the Star Trek universe, you're in, with Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold.
Because I was surprised actually how many people followed that cartoon.
You know what, the weird thing as an actor is when something is popular, you never quite know, like, am I the only person that knows about the show? Do other people know about the show? And it used to be even less so because you didn't have the internet to kind of like bounce back off of. So you're like, we're still on, so I guess people are watching it, kind of thing. And also, too, with kids, you don't quite know as much either until they become 10 years later and they're older and talking about it still, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, people watch that. And so the cool thing with Hey Arnold is, 15 years or whatever later, the fans have just I love this thing, by the way. It's so awesome.
It's Daily Carver.
It's so cool. Look how cool that is.
Now, don't get too close. He's here to exterminate.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
See?
Oh, it's so awesome.
That's why we always give him a wide berth.
It's so cool.
It's a learning curve. You lose a few people in the committee. They get evaporated, disintegrated, exterminated.
Isn't cosplay just the best? It's the
Oh,
best.
yes.
Like the work and the energy and the time, the love.
So,
cool.
you were saying that for cosplay, it's cool to see people dressed as your characters.
Oh, it's so cool. That's the coolest part, is like when people really get into it. And a lot of times I'll do cons with a couple other Avatar people, and people will kind of come as the cast, so there'll be, 5 to 10 people all dressed up, and that's like, because you really get the full effect, it's really, really cool. And I love like when couples dress up, or people with their kids, and it's like a whole family affair. It's like, oh, yeah, I love watching it.
I digress a little. I saw one person cosplay once at a convention. He was dressed as Luke Skywalker in the Dagobah training.
Yeah.
And his little son was in a backpack with Yoda ears.
No.
It was adorable.
Oh, it's so cute.
Those things are cool. But that shows that people still just love this kind of culture.
Yeah, it just resonates with people. And also, too, there's such a strong sense of community, And so that's really positive to see, and I don't know, just kind of uplifting. It's very inclusive. Like everyone could be a part of it, and all it takes is for you to be passionate about whatever it is, you know.
Why do I carry this bag? This bag is a curse.
So yeah, because we were talking actually earlier. I asked if you're having fun, and you said it's the energy here that really drives.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can just feel it, and everybody's kind of like, some people like, this is their best day, you know, and like, you really feel that.
Some people wait for today. Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, because these costumes, I mean, there's only so many places you get to wear them, so in some cases they just sit in the closet, you know, and you're like waiting to come out, and when they do, you know, it's great because they live. And I love seeing people are really in character too.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing when you have the costume, but like when people go, oh, can I get a picture taken with you? And suddenly they're like, you know, that's cool.
They are that person. Like Negan's walking around here, and some pictures I've seen him. He's getting right into character.
Really good. Yes. Yeah, it's so fun. Super fun.
So now you do mostly voice acting. How is that something you got into from acting?
You know, it just kind of transitioned that way. I mean, I'm super fortunate because on-camera actors will come up to me all the time. Like, how do I get into voice acting? It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it just kind of happened. And it's a really small, tiny community, so I feel even more fortunate. But yeah, it just kind of transitioned that way, and I just went, okay, like great, let's rock and roll. Because it's kind of the secret. You know, everybody kind of wants to do it. We don't do it in our pajamas like everybody thinks that we do, but it's really good. Yeah.
That is kind of fun because it's one of those hidden things. Because not, like I said, unless you tell people, they don't necessarily know it's you.
They don't know. Yeah, they have no idea what's going on, and so it's really fun. Yeah, for sure.
So now, being voice actor, is there any character you've ever wanted to voice?
I just don't want to do a superhero.
Yes?
Yeah, I mean that's really the thing, and I audition for them all the time. But like that's the one where you just want to like any sort of like Z-list super. I mean I don't care. Like any sort of superhero, like I'm in. I want it. Oh no, you know what I really want? So they're bringing back Princess of Power and She-Ra and everything Netflix is. And I've read for that a couple times. And like that's because as a kid, like I had the castle, I had the horse, and like I had a Princess of Power birthday party. Like, I was into it. And so that's like my ultimate.
That would be wicked.
Yeah.
I heard there was rumors about that coming back.
Yeah, oh, it's coming back. Yeah, and that's just like that would be like full circle for me. Be into that. Yeah, for
that
sure.
is awesome.
For sure.
Now, I kind of asked how you got into it. You just kind of stumbled into it. What's kept you in it?
Well, being incredibly talented,
obviously. You know, they wouldn't have you back if you weren't, right?
No. I don't know. No, sheer luck. I mean, really, it's funny because all that stuff. It's a small pool, but it's also a big pool, right? So like, yes, it's a small pool, but it's a small pool with 1,000 people. You know, so I mean. To have any success in it at all, I feel really fortunate because there are people that are incredibly talented, way up, who just have such range. You know, they can do babies, they can do like ladies, they can sing, they can whatever. And so, yeah, to have any foot in it at all is like very lucky for sure.
Well, I'm gonna ask the question. It's kind of like asking your favorite child. Which of your characters have you enjoyed the most?
I like Rhonda from Harriman because she kind of goes through the levels, you know, of just like, she's a drama queen, so like that's fun. I enjoy Care Bears just because it's really sweet and cute. The one that I didn't like love so much was a show they called Bratz. It was popular. Yeah, I know I don't have any pictures from there. I should. I know.
You were Chloe.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was kind of like one, and it was a super popular show, but it's kind of one note, you know, so there's a lot of just like, let's go shopping, you know, there's a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, they're all fun in their own ways. The worst things you can do are usually video games, because there's a lot of screaming and yelling if you're doing that sort of thing. So that can be very kind of vocally straining. but they're all fun. Hair was fun because a lot of times, people think that you record all together, which is great, and you get the best performance, but a lot of times it just doesn't work out that way. But with Hair, they made a big point, usually for us all to record together, and it was all kids. And typically, adults play kids just because there are child labor laws and things like that. And so, yeah, to have a cast of all kids is really rare, and then to get to record together is really rare. And to do it for as long as we did is rare. So to just see everyone kind of the progression of that, and to grow up together and everything, and then to be able to come back 15 years later, and the boys have all been recast because their voices have changed, but two of the other girls are on it, so there's one guy. And yeah, so the fact that that's coming back, and to get to be able to get to do it again, which is really lucky. I mean, we're very lucky they didn't just recast all this, so I'm thrilled.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's super cool, and the fans really wanted it, and so for Nickelodeon to listen to the fans and to give them what they wanted, it's there's a lot of projects you do where you kind of know that they're not great. And this is really good, and I think people are going to be really happy. There'll always be the 5 guys on the internet that don't like it, but I think that people are really, really, really going to respond positively. So, yeah, so that's going to be exciting.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
Now, is there any questions out here that anybody wanted to
ask? Everyone here is texting, and they're enjoying their
I see this.
food.
I don't think I've ever seen a Pikachu eat so much.
The Pikachu doesn't even know that we're talking about it right now, which is kind of
No, we could sit here and do commentary on them, and they wouldn't notice. Oh, okay, one noticed.
Somebody, they're all cool.
You have a question? No.
He's just in character.
Oh.
We can respect that.
Well, if there's no more questions, thank you so much for chatting with us. I know it was a quick talk.
No, I like it. Quick and in and out.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Matthew Terry, and I am from the It's Time to Fight podcast on the droidscanada.com network. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having droidscanada.com here at the CK Expo. I am having an absolute great time, an absolute wonderful time. And as I am so apt to do, I'm here to talk to you about wrestling. Yeah. I would be remiss if I did not mention May 7th, next Sunday, at the Chatham Wish Center. Classic Championship Wrestling will be live at the Chatham Wish Center. There will be a lot of great competitors there. Kong will be there. Cody Deaner will be there. A lot of great action. Now, as I said, I'm having an absolute wonderful time here at the CK Expo. I'm having a lot of fun, but I have to admit, there's a little bit of tension going on today. I felt a little bit of tension going around the room, and it centers between two guys. So I have been asked, and I am very honored to be the special guest host of Pete's Corner here at the CK Expo. So I'm going to bring these two guys up here, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit of a resolution between these two. First, will you please welcome to the stage, Dr. Steve-O! Dr. Steve-O, thank you. If you'll have a seat. Would you like to sit here? Okay, Dr. Steve-O. Now, folks, will you please welcome to the stage, Chatham's own Todd the Law Shaw!
You got 3 people, yay!
All right, Todd, I'm going to ask you to have a seat here. I'm going to ask both, Todd. I said I'd do this, but I asked that no physical contact. I'm a wimp. I'm a big guy, but I'm a wimp, so I'm going to ask that you please have a seat, both of you. Todd, please. Todd, okay, Dr. Steve-O, you're not helping. You're not helping. Really, was that? Oh, okay, Todd, thank you. Thank you. All right. So there's been a lot of tension between you guys, especially today. You sent a dinosaur after Todd earlier. That was that. Anyway, but perhaps you can explain where. Well, let's go. Let's do a little bit of history here. I believe this all started when you were going for the Classic Championship Wrestling title, and you were climbing out of a cage, and then Dr. Stevel kept you from letting your feet touch the floor. So, Dr. Stevel, I'm just going to ask you, what is your problem with Todd the Law Shaw?
The doctor has no problem with Todd the Law Shaw. Really, what happened that day, seriously, I saw Todd the Law Shaw climbing over the cage, just about 20 feet. It's quite the fall, you know, he could get hurt. And look at his big clown feet. Those things would not support him coming down that cage. And I was afraid that one of our Chatham's greatest hero would get hurt. So I climbed down there so he would not hurt himself, to give him a proper landing, right? And apparently his opponent, he did not beat hard enough, managed to escape out the door, which is what I would have done, but.
All right, Todd, before I go to you, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that on May 7th, you are going to challenge in the finals for this Lancashire Cup that is right here in front of us. You're going to face Rec, a very large individual who I know is he's around here somewhere, but you're obviously very annoyed by Dr. Stevel. Can you elaborate on the fact that the hatred that you have for Dr. Stevel?
Dr. Stevel is not a wrestler. Dr. Stevel is not a manager. Dr. Stevel is not a ring announcer. Dr. Evil or Stevel or pain in my royal patootie, or whatever you want to call yourself, is nothing more than a menace, and he annoys everybody. Nobody in Chatham likes you. I completely hate you, and I will destroy you. Enough said.
All right, Dr. Stevel, this man hates you, so you may say that you don't have an issue with him, but he certainly has an issue with you. Now, perhaps you might want to apologize to Todd. If you don't have an issue with him, perhaps you'd like to give him an apology. Maybe that will settle this once and for all if you apologize to Todd the Law Shaw.
Okay, well, the doctor tried to apologize at the last show. I mean, he felt bad for being blamed for his loss. So I presented him with a participation certificate and a box of Timbits, but he did not, but then he threatened to beat me up. And until I was saved by his opponent, who was a good, kind Samaritan, who came and rescued me. Okay, and you're right, Todd. I am not a wrestler. I'm not a manager, but I'm an entertainer, and I bring entertainment to this place. Because of me, from Stevel Championship Wrestling, gotta do my plug, yeah, we have doubled the fan base. Something that you could not get done, Todd the Blah Blah Shaw. Okay? I'm here to turn the shirt around, to make wrestling great again. Oh, that's the wrong word. And that's what I'm doing. Sadly, you just can't get the job done. You can't win a match on your own. You had to use that like Muppet to help you last time. Okay, I'll give you another participation award when you lose next week, okay?
Dr. Stevel, this will be your final warning I ever give you. You made me lose once. Strike one. You almost cost me my victory in the first round. Strike number two. You get involved May 7th next week, and it's going to be strike 3, and it will be the last thing you do in this company. As far as saying whatever you want, you can say whatever you want. You can call me Todd the Blosh, blah, 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 Shaw, all you want. It doesn't change the fact that you're nothing more than a middle-aged man looking for acceptance.
Okay, Dr. Stiebel, I'm just going to let you respond to him.
You know, Todd, you pretty well screwed yourself, okay? Well, you want us to get close? Okay, you're weird. Yeah. Like, you know, trying to have a conversation with you is like talking to a potato. I have clever quips and comments, and you just say, I'm gonna beat you up to last chance. Duh! Cut the light shot! Okay, this is Todd the Law Shaw's opponent for next week, Rec. Oh, by the way, Rec, here's the cup you're fighting for. Well, I would stop this, but someone threatened to beat me up, I think, yeah? Yeah, you want the mic? I don't think so. Want the cup? There's your new Lancashire champion, I think, maybe. See you next week, Todd.
Mr. Lawman, I think you just met your match, son.
Okay, you know, Rec, I think our issue's resolved. I'm cool with it now. I'm happy with your shot. I forgive you. I'm sorry. I apologize. There we go.
Thank you, folks, for watching. Sorry it had to turn out that way. Folks, enjoy the CK Expo and visit the Classic Championship Wrestling and DroidsCanada.com. Sorry again.
So, in all of the roles that you've ever done, has a Jawa ever creeped in before?
I wish. That would have been, I would have been part of the Star Wars series of films, and that would have been a big deal to me because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's my generation. I actually am just old enough to have been taken to go see the first Star Wars movie when it came out in the movie theaters, and I can remember that it completely blew my mind. I mean, I had a vivid, active imagination as a kid, anyway. But I hadn't really, thought like that deeply about like what's potentially beyond, or what kind of wild stories could take place off of this planet. And when I saw that movie, it was just, my mind was blown. I was a different person after that.
Everyone talks about it. That Star Destroyer rolling overhead on the screen.
Oh, it was amazing.
That's right from that first second.
Definitely.
But see, now you are part of a huge universe.
Yes.
The Stargate universe.
Yes. or as we like to call it, the toilet bowl.
The toilet bowl.
Yes, getting flushed through the toilet bowl.
Really?
Yes, that's the nickname for it when we're on set. It's time to go through the toilet bowl.
Well,
it's true.
It's a nickname, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. It is. There's a few nicknames for a few things, but unfortunately, there's too many kids around here to really get into those.
That's the PG nickname.
Yes, yes.
There we go. So now, that's the show I was introduced to you on, is Stargate. A buddy of mine brought it to work, because that's what you do at work. You sit and you watch Stargate, right? Everybody here does that.
And get paid for it, I guess.
You get paid for it. Oops.
Wait, that's kind of cool. You get paid to watch Stargate. I got paid to be on Stargate, so we do have something in common.
Yes. Stargate's involved and we both got paid.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. But now, once I watched that, I kind of, like I said, I was watching you go, and it's like, what else has he done? I got to watch The Stand, which was huge, a Stephen King movie.
Yeah, the miniseries The Stand was an incredible experience. One of my favorite projects to work on, really. I got to actually, Stephen King wrote the teleplay, was a producer on it, was a character in it. He was on set all the time, and it was also for the miniseries we had the largest cast in the history of television for speaking roles. There was 106 speaking roles in the miniseries The Stand, and so we were filming in Utah, in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was there for about 6 months or so, but we had actors that were flying back and forth from LA to Salt Lake City all the time, like every other day or so. Someone was leaving or coming or going or whatever. And one day we were at lunch, and it's, the whole cast is Laura San Giacomo, Rob Lowe, Ruby Dee, Gary Sinise. It's like all these people were all sitting around, and suddenly Stephen King, he's sitting next to Mick Garris, who was the director, and he just starts chuckling to himself. And we're kind of used to like his odd sense of humor and everything like that. And everybody kind of like focuses their attention on Stephen King, like, okay, what is it this time, Stephen? And Mick's like, okay, what's so funny? And he's like, well, I'm just thinking, with 106 speaking lines and actors flying in and out every other day, I mean, what are the chances of us losing one of our talent to a plane crash? And I was like, my flight's out tomorrow. I don't find that very amusing at all. But that's like, I mean, you don't get to be Stephen King without a dark sense of humor like that. So, I just had to accredit him with being who he is for a reason.
Absolutely. That is a huge cast. That book is mammoth, and over 4 episodes. You're right. There's just so many people involved in that.
Yeah.
Now, going back just a little further, and this is another cult icon, you could almost say, Parker Lewis.
Sure, there's probably not, we got one person, he's like, yeah, I remember that show, yeah. Unfortunately, oddly enough, it's really, really far more popular overseas in Europe. They don't have the same, like, I wouldn't say they're called regulations here in North America, but there's a certain standard of how many episodes a show is supposed to have before it goes into syndication. And we had 78 episodes, and they want 88 episodes minimum for syndication. So we were 10 episodes away from like it going on and playing all the time on different networks for years and years and years. So when the show was canceled after the 3rd season, pretty much it disappeared from television in North America, and over in Europe, though, they just thought it was a great show, and so they ran it all the time. This is hilarious. Do you mind? I mean, really, we are in the middle of something very important here. What was that?
There is nothing more important than a Dalek.
Oh, great. Now I'm being attacked by a Dalek. This is just ridiculous. You're a Canadian Dalek? Well, why don't you say A or sorry? You're supposed to apologize for interrupting someone. Oh, well, then you're definitely not Canadian. A? Yeah, I'll talk to you later. We're going to do an interview later, me and you. I need to get to the bottom of this. Nice butt, by the way. But, where was I? But yeah, so anyway, over in Europe, the show is like, it's a huge success. It's ridiculous. It was like the #1 show in France for like almost a decade. And they ran it all the time. So, over in France, in fact, I was just over there for a convention, and this homeless guy comes up to me, and he's like, bonjour, he says something in French. I don't speak French, sorry, I'm not Quebecois, I'm from Arkansas. We speak Southern drawl, I don't know. But he comes up and he's like, no parler français, and he's like, oh, and he's in some broken English. He's like, do you have like 50 cents for a beer? And I'm like, yeah, and I reach in my pocket and suddenly he stops. He's like, I'm like, and it's a homeless guy. And I'm like, it's like, okay, yeah. And then this homeless guy breaks out a cell phone. I'm like, how do you're homeless. You got a cell phone, and I'm getting a selfie with this dirty homeless guy in France. Oh, actually, wait, he was French and dirty. He might not have been homeless. Nah, just kidding.
So you're a hit with the French, apparently.
I love France, actually. I love going over there. But so it was a really big show there, Germany and Spain, and I'm going over to Belgium and Germany again later this year to do some appearances. And oddly enough, it was the #1 show in Israel for a really long time. I've been over to Israel a couple of times, not for conventions, but to do like kind of diplomatic tours in a way. It's kind of strange, but I just did one over there in Israel recently. I was over there for about 10 days, and I also I paint as well. I do I paint with aerosols, like graffiti art basically. But and I did like a mural for them for kind of this program that's introducing Palestinian and Israeli kids to each other at a young age, so that they can kind of cross their, get their differences out of the way while they're young, and what blah 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 blah. But anyway, so
that's cool.
It was really great experience. Yeah.
That was the other thing I was about to bring up, because the first time we met, you got off the plane, you said, "Hi, I'm Corin. Here's a sticker."
Oh yes. Because I do street art, stuff like that, so I make up my own stickers and that kind of stuff. It's relatively childish, but it's how I keep my youth.
I was gonna say, how long have you been doing that? Like what?
Since I was 12 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of an addiction.
Oh.
Yeah.
But see, you've admitted it, and that's the first step.
Yeah, that is the first step.
Now, I wanted to also speak because just recently I was following your tweets and saw a picture of what looks like a man rabbit.
Oh yes. Rotten Tail was the name. I should have had them send me some comics for it. I didn't get the Rotten Tail is a graphic novel that a company called Source Point Press publishes, and it's a cult classic graphic novel. Maybe more in the U.S. than up here, I don't know, but it's their biggest selling one, and it's a like a horror comedy. It's basically about a scientist who's he's grown up being bullied his whole life, and then he ends up working for the military in one of their science labs, and he's still bullied by people there in the lab and whatnot, and he ends up being he comes up with this sort of serum that's that's drawn from his rabbits or whatever, that it helps people get pregnant really easy, because that's what rabbits do, have more rabbits. But anyway, he ends up getting bitten by this mutant rabbit in his lab, and he transforms into a half man, half rabbit, and then goes on to become kind of an anti-hero that saves his town from an evil evangelical preacher. It's actually, yes, it is quite funny, and thank God this is a comedy too. So if it was not a comedy, it would not be worth seeing. But no, it's going to be very funny. Great time making it, and I have a couple of this. I have a Lifetime movie coming out this year called Girlfriend Killer, and then an action, a sci-fi kind of action movie called Doomsday Device on Sci-Fi Channel at some point this year, and a kids film called Puppy Love, about two puppies whose parents split up and they moved to different parts of the state, and the two puppies want to get the parents back together, so they go on a mission to get the parents back together. And I'm the evil man who doesn't want the puppies to succeed at getting these two back together because I have the hots for the woman.
I like that. Okay.
Puppy Love.
That's... If there's ever an original idea in Hollywood, I think that is coming really darn close.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Now, does anybody else have any questions?
Oh, there's one in the back.
Come on up here, you.
I have a question. Have you seen the movie Ghost in the Shell?
Ghost in the Shell. Is that, am I saying it correct?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
I really recommend it. It's really good.
Is it like a spook in an egg?
Well, basically it's set in the future where
Okay.
everybody has robotic enhancements.
Oh, I get it. Ghost in the Shell. So it's like the spirit of a robot, kind of.
Yeah, but like their ghost is like their past.
Right. Right. So it's a reincarnation type of thing. Their being has been reincarnated into a robotic body. Very interesting. No, but I will see it. Ghost in a Shell.
It is a good one. It's Scarlett Johansson's in it.
Oh.
It's one of the newer ones.
Oh, okay. Okay. You like her? Go on. Go on. Don't be shy.
Come on.
Yay!
What's it like being on Supernatural?
Oh, what was it like being on Supernatural? Well, I will say, because Jared and Jensen, like, they don't really have to be nice guys at this point in their lives. They could get away with being complete jerks, and I don't think anybody would think anything different of them, to be honest. But they're really just super down to earth, very, very nice guys. Both of them are from Texas, which is where I live, and you know, I think that there's a quality of kind of like the Southern hospitality that that people have, and they come from the southern parts of the U.S. And they've managed to keep that and to stay really humble in the face of immense popularity and probably some immense wealth thrown in there to boot. But they're really hilarious too. Unfortunately, I didn't get any pranks played on me, but they did have these tiny little motorcycles that they drive. And the funny thing is they had them outside of their trailers, just off the set where the set is, the studio is where they do all the interior sets. And like let's say that row of white chairs is where Jared and Jensen's trailers are, and like right at the end of this rampway is where the entrance to the set is. And they come out and they get on their motorcycles, they start them up and they go and drive like 15 feet and then park it and get off and go into the set. And I'm just standing there just going, what is the point? With it? As long as their legs are, they could get there in 3 steps anyway, and they look like a bear circus, you know what I mean? When they're like, the giants on these tiny little motorcycles. It was pretty hilarious, I must say. It's pretty hilarious. Oh wow.
Speaking of Supernatural, because we all know if you've seen the show that no one actually ever really dies on the show because everyone always comes back at some point. If given the opportunity, would you want to reprise your role as Christian?
Oh, of course. I would love to. I'd love to have the opportunity to come back on the show. Ah! She got me.
That was a drive-by wanding.
I know. That only happens in Los Angeles. Boy, wow, that was very amusing. But oddly enough, like when I was reading the scripts, I got to the 4th episode, and I'm reading it, and I get to the part. It's like, because I was really worried because they had told us that they were going to cut our storyline down. We were supposed to be in 8 to 10 episodes. And they were like, well, unfortunately, there's too many storylines that are starting up in this season, and we're gonna have to cut, you guys' storylines short. And I was like, no. So I get to the fourth episode, and I get this part where like the alpha vamp or whatever like breaks my neck, and I fall dead, and I'm like, four episodes, and I'm dead. And I like close I'm all upset. I close the script, and I'm like, I don't even want to finish reading this. You know, forget it. And I'm like, but you know, like I'm a disciplined actor. I'm like, no, you have to, no matter what happens, you gotta read the script end to end. That's how you were trained. So I flip it back open, get to the page, and I'm reading, and then I get down to it, and I turn the page, and like suddenly Christian pops back up, and he's a demon, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna live for a few more episodes. And then when Dean stabbed me in the back with the demon knife or whatever it was, I was like, well, I guess 6 episodes is all I'm getting out of this one.
The demon knife kind of seals the deal.
Yeah, the demon knife does seal the deal. But then I was thinking, you know, I could be one of those shape-shifting demon things. Maybe I'm not even the real Christian. I'm like, hey, you know, because everybody kind of thought Christian was kind of a jerk anyway. So maybe they could bring me back and I could be like a really nice guy, you know, fun-loving, likes to give hugs. Yeah, maybe I can throw a beard on, a fake beard. I can't grow a beard. I can't grow anything in between my cheek areas. I just get a little tough down here and sort of like what looks kind of like a caterpillar on the top of my lip. It's really sad.
Any more questions?
Weirdest fan encounter. What was your weirdest fan encounter?
The weirdest, that Daedalus thing that just happened, that was probably close to the weirdest. That's a good question. It might be the homeless guy in France. That was certainly strange. I don't know if weird. I mean, there was one over in England where a big fan of Stargate came up, and he was talking about all the weapons we use, and he was a little off, shall we say, you know, kind of had that 1,000-yard stare in his eye, you know, and like where he's looking through you, like, you know, when someone's talking to you and they're kind of looking through you, you're like, yeah, buddy, you're trying to find their eye line and get in it, you know, but, and he like suddenly throws his backpack on my table, and he's like, you want to see the new gun I just got, mate? And I was like, security? You know, and literally I was like waving over the security guy. I'm like, eh. And so he's like reaching in there and everything. And I was like, no, we'll just, hey. And they came over and they pulled him off to the side and everything. They went through it. It was like an airsoft gun or whatever. And I'm still like, you know, you might have accidentally left it loaded, shot my eye out, and, you know, now I'm playing a pirate the rest of my life. What am I going to do, you know?
If we've learned anything from A Christmas Story, you watch out for that.
I'm only saying this because I'm a really big Marvel fan. If you were to be anything in the Marvel or Fox or somewhere in their cinematic universes, what would it be?
If the Marvel and the what else?
Fox.
You say? Fox.
What's like X-Men?
Oh,
things like that.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, all the good parts are taken. What am I gonna do? You know, what's left?
I hear they're looking for a new Wolverine.
The new Wolverine. Do I look like I could be Wolverine? I'm not Wolverine enough to be Wolverine. That was really cheesy. Wow, it's tough because when I think back to like comics and stuff, I don't know. I was, you know, my favorite series of like graphic novel, Negan. We got to get a selfie later. Okay. I mean, I like the Elfstones of Shannara. The Shannara Chronicles was like a big favorite graphic novel, you know, series of comics that I really liked, and I didn't, you know, I wasn't really that into the Marvel and DC like world or whatever, you know. And then my mom, unfortunately, she didn't realize what Heavy Metal magazine was really all about. And I was buying those when I was a kid. And she'd be like, oh, what you doing? Oh, no, look at Heavy Metal. Sitting on it, like, don't see what's in those. Those were not meant for kids. That's my point there. But if you're asking like what superhero I would ever want to be, just in general, if I can change it up, you guys would not know this, but you can Google it later. Super Chicken. Super Chicken is awesome. Super Chicken. So Google it later and check out Super Chicken on YouTube. You're going to be a fan too, I promise. Laura, you had a question, Laura?
Laura, what you got, Laura?
Did you have fun doing Stargate?
Yes. Now, Stargate was a really, really great show to work on. The production design is basically when they build all of the sets and everything, and they did such incredible set builds for Stargate. It was just amazing as an actor to work on those kind of sets. We did one episode where we went to we had to go to Antarctica, and they built a portion of Antarctica inside of a sound stage. And then we had the interior of the set. But they brought in like 10 of these industrial air conditioners and made the inside of the soundstage like 22 degrees Fahrenheit. It was freezing in there just so that they could get the breath and the feel and like the vibe of being in Antarctica. I was like, this is kind of unnecessary, but whatever. It's
called acting.
But it was amazing. And one of the drawbacks to working on Stargate, though, is Chris Judge, who plays Teal'c. He's the guy with the gold emblem on his forehead, the Jaffa symbol. He liked to fart right before they would call action in a scene. That was like his big joke to all the actors. Like we'd all be saying, so they'd be like, okay, roll sound and roll camera, and then right when the director's about to say action, he's like, action, and you're like, really? I'm supposed to maintain character now? So whenever we would do like the rehearsal, like leading up to it, and everything, and like, they're like, okay, now everybody walks in from this door, whatever. It's like, no. They're gonna come in that door, and I'll just suddenly appear out of nowhere on this side of Chris, never wanting to like have to position myself behind him. And then we did. Chris was a great guy. We got along really well. We did a scene too early on when my character was introduced, where we're like boxing, and he was like, he was actually really hitting me, and he thought it was funny. He's like, I just wanted to see how much you could take. And he was like, I was pretty impressed that you kept getting up.
Okay, well, see, that's for realism, right?
It was.
Oh, wow. All right, we got time for one more question. Oh, is someone in the back? Oh, if you don't mind 1 second, this lovely lady hasn't answered the question yet. So.
Yes.
You said that on Supernatural set, you played pranks, right?
I could not hear that. What was that?
That you played pranks on the Supernatural set? Did Corin play any pranks on the Supernatural set?
Oh, unfortunately, my experience on Supernatural was prank-free, unless you call them writing me out by my 6th episode of Prank. I didn't think it was very funny. But I have heard the rumors of their, how much they do like to prank people, and I wouldn't have minded. I like being pranked myself. In fact, I had a roommate that I lived with for a while when I was younger, and he was very, very jumpy. Like, he'd be one of those guys, like he's just sitting at his desk, working on something, and I'd just come in the room and go, hey, good morning, hey, and he'd jump and get like all scared. I'm like, dude, I'm just saying good morning. So it got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna take full advantage of this. And so then like I started like, squeezing my place into areas of the house that I shouldn't fit, like there was this little like kind of like tiny little closet in the hallway that like you just kind of, and so like I just crammed myself in there and I was just sitting in there just waiting because his bedroom door was like right next to it. And I'm just waiting, so I could hear him in the shower. I'm like, he's got to come out because his like normal routine is like he gets in the shower, and it used to bother the hell out of me because I didn't like him walking around in a towel. I'm like, this is why I don't have roommates, But he would always like get out of the shower, then he walks in, then he goes and he gets his coffee in his towel, and then he goes back into his room. So I knew at some point after the shower, so I was like, and I waited for a long time, let me tell you, and it was not comfortable in there. But yeah, he finally opens up his door and walks out, and then I just pop out of this tiny little thing, like, ah! And he's like, ah! But the best one was, I don't know if you've heard of cellophaning someone's door. Okay. What you do, you take cellophane and you stretch it really tight across somebody's door, and then you tape it with like duct tape really, really tight all along the side so you can't really see it. And so he also had a routine of like getting up in the middle of the night to go get water or whatever. So after he went to sleep, me and my buddy cellophaned his door up, and then I went to bed, and I'm like, I'm just laying, I'm just so excited about it, I can't sleep. I'm like, come on, get up. Come on, go get your water. I'm like, fine. And then finally I fall asleep, and I suddenly come to in the middle of the night with like this sound of a, damn it, oh God. And then just him like in this huge, grand, epic battle trying to get through his cellophane doorway. And I just chuckled myself right back to sleep. It was a glorious, glorious moment. It was awesome.
If ever invited to Corin's house.
Oh no! Here's the best one though. I'll leave you with one last one. This was the best one. So he has the way his bed is. He's got one of those like wooden platforms that goes around the edge of the bed, and his phone is always like right next to it, and he's right sleeping right up there, and his phone's right there. So I sneak in the morning, and he's sleeping, and I really quietly, and I had this wooden devil's mask. And so I go, and I just lay there, right next to his bed, and his phone's right there. And then I take my phone out, and I call him. And I'm laying there, and his phone starts ringing and ringing, and he just wakes up, and he's like, ah!
How long was he your roommate?
Too long. Too long.
Awesome.
Anyway, so those some good pranks to play on people. Fit yourself into tiny places, jump out, scare them, call them when they're not expecting it in the morning, and
lots
scare
of
them.
cellophane.
And lots of cellophane. But don't ever butter the floor of someone's kitchen. You can break their hip. Thank you all so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Corin Nemec.
Oh no.
You're under arrest.
For what? Jail and bail? Can we just do the bail part, like where I leave? Jail. But Dr. Evil was in that jail earlier, and I really don't know what he might have left behind. He might have left a mini-me in there. Oh, God. All right, well, if you do need to answer, any more questions answered, I guess you can go and talk to me in jail. I'm sure that they can set up some visitations. Oh, dear. All right, well, jail and bail we go.
All right, so to continue your conversation with Corin, over to the Legion of Doom cell. Oh, and there's the bail. There was another gentleman, he's been on quite a few different shows. One of them I've just gotten into, a show by the name of Bit. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I haven't seen him yet. I'm hoping to see his character very soon, because he's in quite a few of them from what I understand. But you guys will remember him from Supernatural, and this blew my mind. This blew my mind. And it's actually, the person sitting with you did it. I'm sitting here going, okay, I have a chance to bring an actor to CKX. And she goes, who? I said, Sean Rogerson. Right.
Screams ensued, mayhem.
But she goes, I don't think I recognize the name. I said, he was some Ranger Rick guy. She went, what? Ranger Rick? I'm going, okay, he was only in 1 episode. She goes, I know. It was the Turducken episode. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
Dude.
Things legends are made of.
Turducken.
Legends.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hello.
Sean Rogerson.
Hi, everyone. Gather around. Gather around. Let's all get in a small, tight group here and let's talk.
So, you, as opposed to the whole bunch of everybody that's come, are Canadian.
Yes.
Yes.
I am much nicer than all of them. Much nicer.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Sherwood Park, Alberta. It's about 15 minutes outside of Edmonton. And now I've been in Vancouver for about 16 years. Yeah.
It's got that kind of pull, does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
A lot going on there.
Where are you going?
Where'd she?
Just kidding.
That's it. She's leaving, I'm leaving, right?
It's over.
So now, what got you into this acting business? We're going to lead up to Supernatural, because I'm very curious how you got into that. But what got you into acting? Because Alberta is not known for its hotbed of film activity.
No. So, I mean, I did a little bit of high school drama and stuff like that. And I was a bit of a nerd in school. And when I did acting, it was one of the things that actually brought people to accepting me in a different way. So it was kind of like I found this refuge from being picked on and whatever, and people were like, you're a pretty cool guy, you're really good at this, and stuff like that. So it always stuck with me. And then when I got a little bit older in life, I just got really bored with my job. I was doing monotonous work in the oil industry, and I went and took an acting class again, and just refound my love for it. And somebody was like, "You're pretty good at this, you should move to Vancouver and do acting." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." And I sold all my stuff and moved.
Really? You just dove all in?
Sold everything I had, and I moved to Vancouver. Yeah. Yep.
Now, and this is the big question, because I know a lot of people say it doesn't happen overnight. Were you there long? Like, did it take a while to get established?
Yeah, well, I had a friend of the family that was in the industry, so he kind of took a hold of my hand and walked me around and introduced me to people and stuff. And one of the key things that you do if you want to get into the business is you find a really good acting class and you just go meet the fellow actors and surround yourself with like-minded people, and that's what I did. And I ended up in an acting class with a bunch of young people my age that were on TV that I've been watching when I was back in my small town. And they were like, "Hey, you gotta come to my agent and meet them," and it just kind of happened like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, one of the other things that you've been in, and I haven't had a chance to find it yet, is Grave Encounters. Oh. Now, that was obviously so good. There's actually a Grave Encounters 2.
Not so good.
The first one, what's the first one about?
So it's a found footage movie, and it's a group of reality TV people that are like have a ghost show, like a Ghost Adventures, that kind of show, and they are trying to make a name for themselves. So they go into this abandoned warehouse hospital, and they lock themselves in, and everything that you've ever wanted to happen to those ghost hunting shows happens to these people. Everything. Like, you're like, "No, it's not a ghost," but in this, you're like,
"That's a ghost.
That's a ghost."
I would love to see that.
Oh, you gotta see it.
So now, Grave Encounters, then you got into, was it Bitten? Or did Supernatural come first?
Well, I did my first Supernatural episode was back in like 2000 and...
That's a question.
2.
Does anybody here remember his first Supernatural episode? See, this is the part I love. Everybody knows Ranger Rick. Nobody knows that first episode he was in? I'll give you a hint. It was season 2.
I had no name.
No. There was an episode where people thought they saw angels, and they would go and kill somebody. This man was attacking a woman in a car, and Dean showed up and chased him in the Impala. He didn't make it so well.
I got stabbed by a pole right through my heart.
Yes. And see, that was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
And it's like, because we chatted a little bit, and I'm watching the episode, it's like, that looks like Sean.
I know that chubby-faced little young fella. Yeah.
I know that.
Yep.
And I thought that was a great role. Like, obviously not a recurring role.
No, for sure. But it was such a great, like for, they have different levels of roles, and it was just an actor role. Didn't have a lot to say, but I got to be on set with the boys for like 5 days and hang out, and it was just, it's a blast. It was a blast.
But as you see too, working in that show, it gets you known by them.
Yeah, well, I also, while I was acting and stuff like that, I bartended. So, and the fellas and I was good friends with Jared's best friend, and I knew Jensen through somebody else. So we just we like hung out a little bit. So yeah, but after that show, they were just, wonderful dudes, man. Wonderful dudes. And it's such a small town, you go out and about, and I was working on the main strip bartending, so, they'd roll in, and when we were all a lot more fun, those days.
So after that first episode, you got into Bitten.
Yeah.
What pulled you into that show? Was it something you wanted, or was it just like a job type thing?
It's like anything. I mean, we get set up with auditions, and you read it if you're interested in it. You can make the choice if you really want to go for it or not. And I got the audition for Bitten the day I was driving out of town to go to my grandfather's funeral. So I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I got time to focus on that. But the role was just so great. Like, I mean, this guy was such a wounded character that it's so up my alley. Anybody who's just got some real deep thinking going on, even though it doesn't look like I do, I really connect with those characters. And he's a character that's wounded really bad, does bad things, but you can still find sympathy for him. And I attribute that to my kind face.
There we go.
But yes, so I got very lucky. The show films in Toronto. JB Sugar was a producer on the show, and JB gave me my very first acting job in Vancouver on one of his dad's shows. So he was my very first director, and then I auditioned for Bitten, and he gave me that role, and I got to work with him again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So now, Bitten, that was only one series, or one season, wasn't it?
One season.
Yes.
One season. Alistair wasn't coming out of that alive.
No? Mm. See, you just spoiled it, dude. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, no. Seriously. I think, honest to God, in the first episode, I killed 3 people.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no redemption for that guy.
Gotcha.
I hoped. No.
Well, then from Bitten, what I know is Supernatural. Was there anything in there that you did otherwise?
Besides Supernatural and Bitten? I did, well, that Grave Encounters was a big one. Too, and then I did Grave Encounters 2. I did a movie called Extraterrestrial with the same guys that did Grave Encounters. It was a UFO abduction movie. And I just played like this crazy southern sheriff that zips around.
Was that a found footage style as well? No?
I mean, there was some tidbits of that, but yeah. And I work with those guys, like whatever they got, I do some work with them.
That just sounds very familiar to me.
I mean, they did a great job. They did a really great job of it. It's worth a watch.
Okay.
Just check it out anyway. It's fun.
So then that brings us Ranger Rick.
Yep.
You kind of fell into that role. That role seems so natural to you.
And the truth comes out. So this episode that was coming out, a friend of mine who I'd worked with on another series, his name's Guy Norman B. If you're fans of Supernatural, Guy B, he directed a ton of them. Great guy. But he was directing this episode because it was going to be a major episode in the arc of the season because it was where Bobby might be dead, right? I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Too late.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So, yeah, and Guy happens to be a really big fan of The Big Lebowski. A lot of you are far too young to maybe know this reference, but so when I went out for the role, I phoned him, and he was just like, "Listen, man, don't go over the top, Stoned, but I want you to be like aware, but not aware." So, yeah, it was cool. It was a little bit of destiny because I've worked with Jared and Jensen before. I worked with Guy B before, and Bobby is played by Jim Beaver, and I did a series with Jim Beaver before. So it was just kind of like this little serendipitous moment that brought me back to Supernatural, and yeah, and it just fit because I seem to be able to play Stoned well.
Everyone needs their strength.
I guess. Or weakness, whatever.
So, does anyone have any questions for Sean?
Slow down. Enough.
I think they're still wrapping their head around the fact that you were in season 2. I think that's...
Yeah, right. Huh?
What you got? Wait, you got a microphone. Why am I walking over there?
So, question.
Yep.
Turducken sandwich.
What's that?
The turducken.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, first off, I'll tell you, I had no idea what the sandwich was actually going to look like on the screen.
Okay.
At all. And I'm glad they didn't show me because I probably wouldn't have made it through it. But it was just a chicken sandwich. I got nothing exciting to reveal except it was a chicken sandwich.
It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and Jensen tried to teach me to not take such big bites because I was chewing so much during my monologue. He's like, just pretend to bite that. I said, but it's good. So
how do you pretend to bite it?
Right, acting 101, people.
There's the acting.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Dude, you just ate my microphone.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
You just ate my microphone.
I know.
That looks so
It's
real.
gone.
Anybody else have any questions for Sean?
What would Ranger Rick's go-to dance move be?
Oh, these are cool questions.
All right, first off, does Ranger Rick know he's dancing?
I think he's... There we go.
Is he alone out in the woods?
Usually.
Well, it could be an inner song. What do we think? Do you think he could just maybe, you know what? He's probably just taking it in. That's it. You can take that with you too.
And of course,
if I'm gonna dance, you guys are gonna clap for me for dancing. Thank you. Thanks so much. You're welcome. That dance wasn't good. So, Amber, if Amber was dancing, what would that look like?
No inspirational
really great
Impala
job.
dance
Put it up
moves.
for Amber, everybody.
You've all probably met Amber already. She is over there. She owns the Impala that is sitting in the corner.
That strange little car that goes with Supernatural.
When you look out at that car, there must be a happy dance that you have.
I got that sunshine in my pocket. Got that sunshine in my pocket. Can't stop.
Any other questions?
Yes, this excitement is real.
Did you ever get pranked on Supernatural?
Oh, no, but I got Supernatural sandwiched. I hadn't seen the guys in a while, and I was out just filming by myself, and I felt something on my butt, and then Jensen and Jared came around me, and Jim Beaver came to my side, and they all hugged me in unison. So it was very lovely, but it wasn't a prank. There was a lot of talk about what was happening down below, sneakily, but it wasn't true.
That's like you said, that was that serendipitous moment. Everybody was together.
It really was. It was a great time.
That is
a
awesome.
good catch up.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
Great Encounters 3.
Oh, the question.
Somebody had to ask.
Oh, brother. Let me tell you, I am pushing people because this youthfulness, it's not lasting very long. I don't know what they're gonna do. But yes, I mean the script is there. It's just being refined and refined. And Colin is making other movies and stuff like that, but I'm literally like poking at them all the time because it's not right not to finish it, right? So, in short, I don't know. I really don't. It's there. It's there. They said it was done, but I know, I'm with you.
There's a want for it.
It needs to be done, man. The second one was a bit poop, and the first one was awesome, so you need to have a third one that just kind of fixes that second one. And that's my opinion. Colin gets mad when I tell him I wasn't a big fan of the second one, but I'm like, it was just weird. It's just weird. We need to make a cool one for the third. But I'll work on it, man.
What was your favorite and least favorite thing about working on Supernatural?
My favorite and least favorite. My favorite thing about working on Supernatural was, I mean, literally, it's being around friends. Even on the second season, I knew the sound guy and stuff like that. Everybody was just cool. And it afforded me the chance to meet the guys, and I got to go do some pretty crazy stuff later on in my life with, Jared and stuff. And the worst thing was that it had to end.
Twice.
Right? Nice. Deep. That was deep.
I still don't know where he is.
That was a natural answer. Supernatural.
Well played.
Some guy from the
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, here we go.
What's your opinion on Deskiel? You know what? It was just a little. Your opinion on Deskiel?
Dean and Cass, Destiel. As a relationship. It's that whole blending of names, Dean and Cass.
They're yeah, can I tell you, when on the second season when I was on set, they had like pictures of shirtless men, and they would paste on Sam and Dean's face, like Jensen and Jared, and like holding each other and stuff like that. Oh, they were all about the joke. All about the joke. Oh yeah. And they were like the best of buddies too. My opinion on it is it's real. It's real. Oh yeah. And I think they like it.
Look how many buttons I have now. I
gotta admit, that's the one cool thing about that show, that everybody is so close. They have so much fun.
It's the best set to be on in Vancouver.
To me, that is ideal filmmaking right there.
Yeah.
You have fun on set, you make a cool product that people want to watch.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. A bonehead ruins it for everybody. For sure. Oh yeah.
Any other questions? Got time for one more?
Let me see.
One more.
Oh, here, over here.
Hey.
Boy, I want one of the tiny ones.
If you could be any other character on Supernatural, like Dean, Sam, Cass, who would you be?
I'd want to be Jensen Ackles. You kidding me? A beautiful piece of machinery. Look at him. Yeah, right? I don't like admitting it, but you can't not. Even as a guy, you're like, that guy's a beautiful man.
I would have fought you on that until I saw that Eye of the Tiger video.
Oh, well, let me tell you, and in person, it's even worse. You're like, just don't stand so close to me, man. It's just awful. It's right looking. I'm honest. I'm an honest man. It's truth.
Alrighty, well guys, thank you so much, John. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys, and
being
thanks
a part of
for
CCAS.
asking
Ladies and
me
gentlemen,
questions.
Sean Rogerson.
Now let's pick a winner. Yeah.